4 kids who inherited a family vacation home. So this was in Tahoe. So you get this home. Now you have 4 different kids. And the question they're asking our firm about is, how do we, with the estate planning, how do we handle this inheritance? Now, they each own 25% of a house. Mm-hmm. And they were asking about the proper structure, too, for that house.
Right.
But also, what happens with estate planning when you inherit a property, 4 different kids?
Okay, so let's just start off with the inheritance of the property, and then I think the other issues will get resolved when we talk about that. Okay, so the first thing to understand is that if you simply just distribute the property, because if it just says 4 kids distributed, typically each of the children will simply take a 25% apiece, and they'll wind up owning that property equally as tenant in common, okay, among the 4 of them.
Okay.
We don't like that, only because that property is now subject to the claims of each of those child's creditors. So if you have one child that has going through a divorce, or maybe they themselves have creditor issues, their creditor can come up and grab that 25% interest. And then the other 3 kids are now co-owners with a hostile tenant in common as the creditor. So we don't like to see these outright distributions of real estate. Alternatively, what we would rather see is the trustee up at the trust level create an LLC, which is a limited liability company. And then they can put the property inside the LLC, and then they can distribute the LLC membership interest. Okay. So therefore, they're not getting the dirt. What they're getting is the membership interest, which represents their ownership. And if you got 4 kids, I have to assume they maybe not be living in the same household. Maybe they're kind of peppered around the country even. And as a result, maybe they amongst themselves agree, okay, Johnny, you're going to be the one that manages the property for the family, the legacy property. Okay, fine. That LLC structure also allows us to designate a manager that the kids agree amongst themselves to take care of the property for everyone else's benefit. That manager can be compensated for their job, so they're not kind of working for free for their siblings. And so you kind of, and now you get the asset protection. So now you have creditor issues, et cetera, et cetera. You have now asset protection. So it's a much cleaner way for the property to be distributed. And the other issue, Paul, is that although the 4 kids may like the property, maybe the 4 kids can't afford the maintenance of that property.
That came up.
It's split 4 ways, but child number 1 simply doesn't have the money to contribute their 25% of the expenses. Right. It reminds me of my business owners. All the employees carry on about wanting to be a percent owner because they want to get their percentage of the profits. Yeah, but they forget, as an owner, you also need to take your responsibility for your percent of the losses. And I was like, oh, I didn't want that part. I just want the upside, not the downside. Okay, well, there's no difference here, right? If you're going to be an owner of a property, you're also proportionally responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of that property. So maybe they may not want that. So that's a big deal. Maybe they're going to horse trade amongst themselves okay, maybe the 3 of them and 1 guy will get cashed out. Fine. Maybe mom and dad can do the responsible thing and maybe even take out a small life insurance policy to add. Here's the property as a legacy, and I've done this myself with clients. We've actually created a separate trust to put the property in. We designate as successor trustees to manage it for the legacy for the family's benefit. And then we've also put a life insurance policy in there, something small, $250,000 term policy, whatever. So mom and dad pass away. Not only is the property held for the kids, equally, it's also the funds of $250,000 invested will help take care of the repairs and ordinary maintenance and expenses, and also pay for the trustee for the time and expense in managing it. That's the proper way to do it.
If the kids don't have their own estate plan in place, so they don't have a will or trust, you would advise them, if they now have this property, 25% interest, they need to get their own estate plan in place, right?
Yeah.